So picture this. What if the next Batman movie, the next huge blockbuster, went straight to your phone? I mean, that is exactly the kind of massive change we could be looking at with this rumored mega merger between Netflix and Warner Bros. And let me tell you, this is way more than just a business deal. We're talking about an earthquake that could literally reshape everything we watch.
See, this isn't just one company buying another. No, this is a clash of titans, right? Two giants with completely different ways of thinking about movies. You have a data-driven, algorithm-loving streaming service potentially swallowing a whole century of Hollywood myth-making. The result? Well, it could redefine what a movie even is in the first place.
Because when you get right down to it, this whole thing is a battle for power, plain and simple. Whoever controls the world's biggest stories, and crucially, how those stories get to you, they don't just control a market, they control culture itself. The stakes here, they honestly couldn't be any higher.
So what's really on the line? Well, pretty much everything. We're talking about who owns legendary characters like Batman and Harry Potter. We're talking about who gets to decide what gets made and how you get to see it. And yeah, we are absolutely talking about the survival of the movie theater as we know it. Every single part of the creative process is up for grabs.
Okay, so our first big clue about what the future might look like comes straight from the top, from Netflix's co-CEO Ted Sarandos. He is on record saying he is against those long, exclusive periods where movies are only available in theaters. So, what does that actually mean for us?
Well, it could mean the end of waiting months for a big movie to finally hit streaming. Just imagine it. Much shorter runs in theaters, or maybe even brand new movies dropping on Netflix the exact same day they hit the big screen. It's a whole new model, one that's built for you to watch anything, anywhere, anytime.
But okay, let's look at the flip side. What's the best case scenario here? This is what some people are calling the legendary promise of the whole deal. The idea is that combining the resources of these two giants could unlock a scale of entertainment that we've really only dreamed of.
And the formula is actually pretty simple. You get more money for huge productions, more resources to get the best talent on board, and a global platform that can launch a story to hundreds of millions of people literally overnight. The potential for truly epic, mind-blowing storytelling is, you got to admit, undeniable.
And it all boils down to one single goal: scale. This is all about being able to fund projects that are so ambitious and create worlds so expansive that they just weren't possible before. Now that is a pretty exciting idea.
But, you know, for every legendary promise, there's always a dangerous peril lurking around the corner. With all that power and all that money comes a whole lot of risk. So, what could we actually lose if this new entertainment behemoth becomes just too big to fail? And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the fear that a lot of creators and film lovers have. When there's so much money on the line, the pressure to just play it safe becomes enormous. So what happens to the weird stories, the experimental films, the smaller dramas that aren't guaranteed to be billion-dollar hits? This is what we're calling the creative compromise. It could mean those unique, smaller stories just get lost in the shuffle. You know, edgy content gets toned down. Gritty horror suddenly becomes a little less gritty. Those complex, morally gray anti-heroes get cleaned up. And pretty soon, everything just starts to feel kinda safe. And this could lead to the rise of what's been called low-bar entertainment. You know what I'm talking about. Content that's basically designed to be background noise while you're scrolling on your phone. You're not really watching it, you're just glancing at it. Is that really the future of movies?
All of this potential peril really comes from a fundamental clash of cultures. It's a battle between two totally different ideas about what a story should even be.
So on one side, you have the legacy of Warner Bros. We're talking decades of just legendary myth-building and bold creativity. And on the other side, you have Netflix, which is driven by data, by algorithms. The big, multi-billion-dollar question is, in this new version of Hollywood, does the myth win, or does the spreadsheet? But wait, here's a really fascinating twist. After looking at all the potential dangers, a kind of provocative idea starts to pop up. What if this massive disruption is actually exactly what the industry needs? What if it's a hard reset, a system shock?
And let's be super clear here. A system shock isn't some minor tweak. We're talking about a complete teardown of how movies get made, how they get funded, and how they get released. It's nothing short of a revolution, for better or for worse.
So what does a system shock actually look like in the real world?
Well, one rumored plan for the DC films is to keep them in theaters for just 1 week.
7 days, just long enough to qualify for the big awards, before pulling them and putting them straight onto streaming. I mean, wow, that would fundamentally change everything. So, here we are. This is the ultimate question we're left with. Is this whole thing the dawn of a golden era for ambitious, incredible global storytelling, or is it a minefield of creative compromise that's going to lead us to a future of safe, sanitized, and kind of boring entertainment?
And maybe this is the most powerful and immediate question of all. No matter which path this merger takes, the legendary one or the dangerous one thing seems almost certain. The theatrical experience, the very act of going to the movies that we've known for a century, it might be about to change forever.
To fully enjoy this portion of the video, please ensure CC, closed captions aka subtitle, is turned on.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tearing into a stack of source material that points to a potential tectonic shift in entertainment.
That's really the only way to describe it.
We're talking about the reported acquisition of Warner Bros. By Netflix. And our mission today isn't just to cover the business deal.
No, not at all.
It's to figure out what happens when this streaming giant, a company built on data, just swallows a century of cinematic history.
It's monumental. I mean, the analyses we've gone through make it explicitly clear. If this goes through, we're watching a total restructuring of cultural power.
You mean beyond just which company owns which superhero?
Oh, way beyond. We're talking about a massive shift. It impacts the big budget studios, iconic IP, distribution, and, most critically, how and why stories even get told in Hollywood.
Okay, so let's unpack this right away, because the ripple effects here, they touch every part of the industry, and they affect you, the listener, directly. We need to figure out, what does this actually mean for future movies? How fast are you going to see them? And what happens to these massive, long-running franchises under the Warner Bros. Umbrella?
And the big one, what happens to quality when the algorithm meets the art?
That's our focus. So let's start where the immediate massive impact is felt. Distribution.
The central rumor, the big one, is that Netflix came out on top in this major bidding war for Warner Bros.
And the moment that's confirmed, the combined library of content is just, it's instantly enormous.
But it's how they plan to use that library that changes everything.
Right, and we're already getting signals from the top.
That's right. Ted Sarandos, the Netflix co-CEO, he's been pretty specific in his limited comments. He says he's committed to continuing support for Warner Bros. Theatrical releases.
Which on the surface sounds reassuring. You think, okay, movies will still be in theaters.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really contradictory and very interesting.
He's also reportedly very vocal against long, exclusive movie windows.
Very vocal. He keeps citing Netflix's, and I'm quoting here, consumer-friendly nature. And the hint is that those theatrical windows are going to evolve.
Which is corporate speak for get much, much shorter.
Drastically shorter. If you connect the dots consumer-friendly in the streaming age, according to these sources, it just means you're not waiting anymore.
So instead of 90 days, or maybe 45 days,
we could be talking about near same-day releases on HBO Max or Netflix, or at the very least, a transition that happens in just a couple of weeks.
Well, it makes sense when you look at how people actually live now. The source material really nails this.
It does.
People aren't just going to the movies anymore. They're watching at home, on their phones, on tablets, while they're commuting. Netflix's whole model is built for that fast, convenient, in-your-pocket lifestyle.
And the theater becomes this sort of optional premium thing, not the first step.
Exactly.
And to make this really concrete, one of the sources has this shocking and very specific detail about the DC films.
Well, this is the one.
The rumor is that Netflix plans to keep future DC movies in theaters for a minimal period.
Just 7 days.
Only 7 days.
That is barely enough time for word of mouth to even start.
Yeah.
Why? Why that specific tiny timeline?
It's solely to meet award guidelines.
You're kidding?
No. To qualify for the Oscars, the BAFTAs, you generally need a minimum theatrical run in LA and New York, and 7 days is pretty much the bare minimum to check that box.
So they're gaming the system. The entire theatrical release is just a very expensive ad and an Oscar application.
That's it. After that 1 week, the movie gets pulled and thrown onto HBO Max, then Netflix. It perfectly illustrates what Sarandos is hinting at. The theater is now just a compliance mechanism, not the destination.
That's a huge cultural pivot.
Right.
Okay, so moving from logistics, consolidation.
Right.
One analysis framed this as potentially dangerous or legendary. And that contrast, I think, It perfectly captures the stakes of marrying Warner Bros.
Yeah.
With Netflix.
Let's start with the legendary side, the upside. Consolidation means more money, more resources, and instant global reach.
Right, so you get bigger budgets, more ambitious projects.
And the potential for these wild crossovers, these bigger shared worlds, more resources can mean more spectacle.
But then there's the danger. The sources are pretty clear about this. It's a severe chilling effect on creative freedom.
When you combine these two massive structures, creative risk just drops. It has to.
Because you have to please a global algorithm and a multi-billion-dollar budget.
Yeah.
So you default to safety.
Exactly. What survives are the bankable stories, the sequels, the known IPs, and it raises this really important question about, well, what about the smaller, riskier projects?
Ones that actually win the Oscars they're chasing.
Precisely. The gritty, weird, experimental stories, the mid-budget dramas, they risk being quietly buried because they just don't move the needle enough on that global spreadsheet.
But wait, I mean, isn't the current system at Warner Bros. Kind of broken anyway? You hear all these criticisms about constant management shifts, erratic distribution.
That's a fair point.
Wouldn't one huge, efficient, data-driven entity like Netflix actually force them to be better stewards of their IP? Maybe efficiency leads to better execution, even if the choices are a bit narrower.
That's the core defense of consolidation, isn't it? Structural necessity. But the sources highlight that efficiency usually equals standardization.
And that risk aversion creates a ripple effect.
It trickles down. It hits the smaller creators, the niche divisions within Warner Bros., like an art house film unit or documentary funding. When that spreadsheet takes over, those departments that don't generate massive returns, they're the first to go.
The overhead gets so high that your tolerance for any kind of failure just vanishes.
And that pressure brings us right to the heart of this thing, the culture clash.
Legacy versus the algorithm.
That is the ideological tension. On one side, you have Warner Bros. With decades of legendary IP and this old school myth building.
The directors, the film history, cinema as art.
And on the other, you have Netflix with data-driven storytelling and algorithm culture. The spreadsheet, as one source puts it.
So the question for you, the listener, is which one wins? Does that old school myth building survive? Or does the spreadsheet win, optimizing every story for completion rates?
And we should probably clarify what that means, the spreadsheet winning.
Yeah.
Netflix's success is built on metrics, right?
Completion rates, mainly. How many people finish the movie?
Exactly. And our viewers dropping off between episode 2 and 3. So when a Warner Bros. Project is put through that lens, anything messy that might cause a drop-off, it gets edited out. They prioritize easy, digestible viewing.
And that leads to this dual outcome. On the one hand, massive global exposure. More eyes means a smaller story could explode into a global hit.
That's the positive spin. But then you get the huge risk of sanitization.
The edges get shaved down.
Perfectly put. Think of a complex, gritty character, full of texture. The spreadsheet sands them down, polishes them until they're completely safe and marketable for everyone, everywhere.
So a morally gray anti-hero you love suddenly gets a clear heroic motive tacked on.
Or a gritty horror arc softens. The very darkness of Batman, the ambition of an HBO drama, it could all be diluted just to fit an optimal algorithm profile.
It's all about non-offensive global appeal.
Right. And all that existing chaos, with WB content scattered across 10 different platforms, that gets simplified. Everything comes home to the mothership.
Which is more convenient, I guess.
More convenient, but at the cost of diversity in the marketplace. There are fewer voices, fewer approaches.
Let's zoom out for a second and look at the state of entertainment right now, even before this. The sources are pretty critical of both companies.
They are. Both Netflix and Warner Bros. Are seen as hit or miss, with a pretty heavy emphasis on miss lately.
This merger is happening when the perception of quality seems to be at a real low.
It really speaks to the rise of what one source calls low-bar entertainment.
Content you watch while doing something else.
You're multitasking. You're scrolling on your phone, you're glancing at the screen. The content is designed to be consumed passively.
And the way people talk about it reflects that. You hear things like, yeah, I watched this one part, or, oh, that one scene was cool.
For a 2-hour movie, it means almost nothing stuck. The editing prioritized these little engagement spikes over a cohesive story.
And that leads to the quality concerns the sources highlight. Glaring plot holes, no attention to detail, no real consequences for the characters.
Nothing truly means anything. So audiences are watching, but with, as the source says, very little enjoyment. They're just consuming a product because it's there.
Which brings us back to the power struggle. This is about Hollywood titans battling for cultural power.
Plain and simple. If you control the stories, you control influence. You control distribution. You control what the world sees.
And when it all merges into one megastructure, creative freedom feels that pressure. It's not about the art anymore. It's about strategic control over the viewer's time.
Exactly. This merger isn't just about efficiency. It's about ownership of the entire narrative landscape. And when that gets consolidated, the risk-taking you need for truly memorable content often just evaporates.
So this deep dive, it really shows us two possible paths. This could be a golden era of opportunity with incredible spectacle and reach.
Or it could become a minefield of creative compromise where legendary IP gets watered down by the spreadsheet.
But there's a final thought in the material that's, well, it's paradoxical.
It's a surprising one. This whole chaotic merger, this system shock, might be exactly what the industry needs.
A hard reset.
A total restructuring of how stories are made and delivered.
I mean, that is the ultimate paradox, right? That the biggest consolidation in years might force better quality simply because the stakes are suddenly astronomical.
If you're spending billions on a film you're only releasing for 7 days, you cannot afford for it to be mediocre. The failure risk is just too expensive.
It forces better thinking.
For better or for worse, though, the most significant immediate consequence is the end of the theatrical norm. That 7-day window for DC. That really might mean RIP movie theaters as we've always known them.
And that leaves you, the listener, with a crucial question. When convenience offers you every story, instantly, on your phone, what cultural touchstones, that shared communal experience in a dark theater, what are you willing to trade for it?
And what does that trade-off mean for the stories we pass on to the next generation?
If you enjoyed my video, Netflix and Warner Brothers, my thoughts, be sure to hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Share this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into my original comic book stories, heroes, villains, and everything in between. Click the bell icon so you'll never miss when a new story drops. Want to support the channel directly? My PayPal link is down in the description and also on my homepage. It helps me with creating more epic comic book content for this channel. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay curious, keep imagining, and I'll catch you in my next comic book video.